Hello friends, welcome back in this video session of pharmaceutical analysis. Today we are going to start a new topic which is very important as far as the analytical methods are concerned, and in industries or in research nowadays the mass spectrometry is very widely used. We have an hyphenated techniques known as LCMS or MSMS, which are very popularly used for various applications. So let's begin with the topic. It is mass spectrometry. So as the topic name is mass spectrometry, it is something which is related to the mass. Okay, so by using this technique we can find out the molecular mass of the compound. Okay, and in this particular diagram the instrument is shown. So this is a very sophisticated analytical tool where you can find out the structure and you can get very accurately the molecular mass of that particular compound which you are interested. Now the question is whether this technique is referred as mass spectrometry or we should call it as a mass spectroscopy. Okay, now here the spectroscopy, mass spectroscopy is not a relevant or appropriate term for this topic, because in this technique, unlike the IR spectroscopy, NMR spectroscopy or UV spectroscopy, we do not find any electromagnetic radiation taking part in the analysis. Okay, so we have seen what is spectroscopy. Spectroscopy is a technique in which the analyte or our sample interact with the electromagnetic radiation, but in this case we are not going to use any electromagnetic radiation, and hence the word mass spectroscopy is not the accurate word. In some literature we find it is mass spectroscopy, but that is not the correct word. The correct word is mass spectrometry. So you know what is metry. Metry is nothing but the measurement. Okay, and what we do in this technique, we measure mainly the molecular mass of the compound and we get a very accurate molecular mass of the compound. Okay, so let's begin with the theoretical aspects of this mass spectrometry. Now mass spectrometry is an analytical spectroscopic tool primarily concerned with the separation of molecular or atomic species according to their mass to charge ratio. Okay, so this is the main idea behind using the mass spectrometry. In mass spectrometry what we are doing, we are forming a molecular ion, and from that molecular ion it will generate several fragment ions, and based on the fragmentation, what is its mass to charge ratio, we separate the ions and we analyze that fragmentation pattern. So that we refer it as a mass spectra, and the technique is referred as the mass spectrometry. Now what information we can gather or we can determine using mass spectrometry? So first is what I told you, you can get a clear idea about the molecular weight or molecular mass of the compound, and not only that, you get the molecular mass with very high accuracy. In simple mass spectrometer you can get the molecular mass up to 4th decimal point. Okay, so that is the beauty and accuracy of the mass spectrometer. Then the second application, if you have the high resolution mass spectrophotometer, so you will get a molecular formula. Okay, you can determine the molecular formula. Then because you are getting the fragment ions, so fragment ions are getting formed by a particular fashion. There are several fragmentation pathways which are very characteristic for several types of compounds, and based on that we can also predict the possible functionalities present in the structure, and we can also predict the final structure of the compound. Okay, so fragmentation pattern is very important, and like in IR spectroscopy we have a fingerprint region. Similarly, by maintaining the identical condition, we can have a fragmentation fingerprint in the software, and the obtained fingerprint can be matched with that, and from that we can identify, we can elucidate the structure. Okay. Then another application of mass spectrometry is the isotopic incorporation or the isotopic distribution. We can find out which are the isotopes present in the compound and what is its distribution. For example, we know the bromine, it has an isotope of 79 and 81. So we can get a very characteristic isotopic peak for such type of atoms, and it can be easily identified. And nowadays the protein sequence, I told you the hyphenated techniques are taking up like anything, and usually in pharma industries where we do a bioanalytical work, there we have an LCMS or MSMS sophisticated techniques where we can get a very accurate sequencing of these biomolecules like proteins. Okay, so this is the generalized idea about the applications. Now we will see more about the applications of mass spectrometry in the various fields. So as we are in pharmacy, we should see what are the applications in the pharmaceutical field. So it has a lot of applications, and to name few, in bioavailability study, as I told you, bioequivalence and bioanalytical study, it plays an important role where the metabolites and other things can be estimated. Then drug metabolism studies and pharmacokinetic parameters can be also checked. Then characterization of potential drugs. Okay, so this is again an important area where the mass spectrometer can play an important role. Then we can also study the drug degradation product. Okay, so this is again important from Sutik's point of view, where the shelf life of the drug needs to be determined, and definitely the mass spectrometer will play an important role here for drug degradation study. Then you can also screen the drug candidates for various reasons, and to identify the drug targets, again mass spectrometer plays an important role. Okay, so with respect to biomolecules, you can characterize, you can identify various biomolecules like proteins, peptides, oligonucleotides, right. So there also it has a wide application in these biomolecules. Then environmental analysis, like you can determine the content of pesticide, what pesticides are present or absent in food products or even in the pesticides. Then soil and groundwater contamination can be found by using mass spectrometer, and it also has an application in the forensic science, forensic analysis or clinical trials. We have an important role of this analytical technique, that is mass spectrometer. So this definitely emphasize the importance of mass spectrometry and why we need to understand how mass spectrometry works, and what is the instrumentation, what is the principle or theory behind this mass spectrometry. Okay. So first we will discuss in today's session the theory aspects of mass spectrometry, what is mass spectra and what information we should gather and how we can read the mass spectra. Okay. So when we talk about the theory of mass spectrometry, we have to understand what is actually happening with our sample molecule. In case of our spectroscopy, we have seen whether it is a IR spectroscopy, whether it is a UV spectroscopy, the sample or the atoms under investigation, they are interacting with the light and they are absorbing or they are releasing some energy in the form of radiation. So that's what we have studied in the spectroscopy. Now in this case, the mass spectrometer, as I mentioned, it is mainly having an importance in determining the molecular mass, and in turn it can give the idea about the molecular structure of the compound. Okay. So how it happens, how it helps to identify or utilize this mass spectrometry. So here the sample which has the atom or molecule, and this sample or atom or the molecule is usually bombarded with high beam of energy electron. Okay. So there are various types of ionization techniques. So one thing you should understand in mass spectrometry, the sample should be ionized. Okay. And hence in mass spectrometry, the ionization techniques which are used, there are various ways by which you can ionize your molecule, and ionization plays a very important role in deciding or what kind of analysis you are expecting from this mass spectrometer. Like in chromatography, the column is the main area, because we refer the column as the heart of the system. So similar way, in mass spectrometry, the ionization technique or the ionization chamber is the main part of the instrument where actually the ionization of molecule happens, and that is the deciding factor for analysis of your compound. Okay, so what we do, we are discussing this theory with respect to the electron impact ionization. So this electron impact ionization technique is very widely used in all the mass spectrometer, okay, and most of the theoretical aspects are similar even to the other ionization techniques. Okay, so when you purchase the mass spectrometer, by default it will have an electron impact ionization, okay, and you can have an add-on ionization techniques as per your requirement. So we are discussing with respect to the electron impact ionization, and we will see what is the principle of this electron impact. So in this case, what we are doing, this purple color ball is nothing but the atom of your molecule, and this molecule or atom is bombarded with high beam of energy electron. Now this beam of energy electrons is bombarded, means it is thrown at high speed to this particular atom or the molecule. You can see the electron is hitting this particular molecule. I have shown here one representative electron, and this is bombarded on the atom. So what will happen, the atom or molecule is hit by high energy electron, and then what will happen, the electron will be deflected, but when it is going to deflect like this, it transfer its energy to the molecule. Okay, so what is happening here, we have taken a molecule of our sample, and this molecule is bombarded with a high beam energy electron. These are energetic electrons, so they transfer their energy to the molecule and they will be deflected by a mechanism. Okay, so what happens, the energy rich species. So now who is the energy rich species? This is the energy rich species, because the energy of the electron is now transferred to this particular molecule and then electron were deflected. So this particular atom or the molecule now becomes energy rich species, and because of that it has gained excess energy, it will try to relax, and when it is getting relaxed, it will eject an electron from its orbital. Okay, so what will happen, it will release this excess energy, this is referred as the energy rich species, and that ejects an electron, and because it ejects the electron, you can see this electron has been ejected from this particular molecule, and because of the ejection of electron, now this molecule or atom will have a positive charge. Okay, and because it now contains odd electron in its orbital, so now this becomes a odd electron species, and we call it as a molecular ion. Okay, so this is a molecular ion, this is referred as a molecular ion, or we also refer this as a parent ion. So whenever we are ionizing the molecule, the first ion which is forming in this ionization, we refer it as a molecular ion or the parent ion. All right, now what happens thereafter, the molecule, we have summarized the discussion what we had. Okay, so I told you the high beam energy electron is bombarded to the molecule, which is referred here as M. Okay, and high energy electron beam. Okay, what is the meaning of high energy electron beam? The meaning is it will have a 10 electron volt energy. Okay, so 10 eV is the energy which is referred as high energy electron, and this is bombarded on this particular molecule or the atom. So it is giving or transferring its energy, which we are referring as high energy, to the molecule, and the electron will be deflected. Now this molecule becomes a energy rich species, and it will try to stabilize. So what it will do, it will knock out its one electron, right, which we can show it here like this. The electron have been knocked out, and because of that, now it becomes a positively charged species, and it will contain an odd electron. Okay, so we refer that as a molecular ion or the parent ion. Now this will have a positive charge, and it will have a ion, it will have a odd electron on that. Now once the ionized molecule are formed, then what we do, we have a special arrangement in the mass spectrometer, and the molecular ion now will pass between the pole faces of the magnet, and the magnet will deflect these ions based on their mass to charge ratio. M by Z is nothing but the mass to charge ratio. M represents the mass and Z represents the charge, okay, or in some books it is also given as M by E. E represents the charge, M represents the mass. So what we are doing, we are first taking our sample. The sample is bombarded with high energy beam of electron, then the molecule will get ionized, and the ionized molecule will be transferred to the further part of the instrument where we have a magnetic field, and with the help of magnetic field we deflect the ions, and these ions are deflected. These ions are taking a flight, or they are passing through a predetermined distance towards the detector based on their mass to charge ratio. So definitely the molecule who are heavier, those who have high M by Z value, they will lag behind, and the molecule which are lighter, they will travel faster. Okay, so there is a ion accelerating region where we accelerate the ion, we give same kinetic energy to all those ions, and definitely because of that you can have an example. You have a heavy weight person and lightweight person, and to both of them if you are given same energy, right, to reach to the other point, so definitely who will reach first? The lighter person will reach first and the heavier person will reach slower, okay, because both of them have been provided with the same kinetic energy. The same thing happens also with the organic molecules, and based on their mass to charge ratio we can separate them and we can record them in the mass spectrum, okay. So if the only ion that is present is the molecular ion, mass spectrometry provides a way to measure the molecular weight or molecular mass of the compound, and that is the main application of mass spectrometer. So if your ionization chamber is converting your sample to the molecular ion only, okay, so what will happen? In the mass spectrum you will get one or two peaks, and that will be corresponding to the parent ion or the molecular ion, and you will get a molecular mass of that compound. Sometimes what happens, if you are providing relatively higher energy, the molecular ion will break down into several ions, and these ions, as they are derived from the parent ion, we call them as a daughter ions or the fragment ions, okay. So what we will be getting, we will be getting a fragment ions, or they are also referred as the daughter ions because they are derived from their parents, okay. So if you are forming a fragment ions, then you will get idea about what kind of functionalities or what kind of groups present in the structure, and you can arrive at a fingerprint region, or you can have a idea about the possible structure of the compound. Of course you need to have some other spectra like NMR and IR. So by taking and studying all these spectra, you can definitely arrive at final conclusion, the given unknown compound is so and so, and this is the structure of that, okay. So this is the mass spectrometry and how we can utilize that. Then going further, when you form a molecular ion, okay, and if you are providing a higher energy, so what will happen, this molecular ion or the parent ion, it will dissociate, it will break down to a pair of fragments. So what is happening now, initially we have taken a sample, the sample has been ionized, it has formed a molecular ion, and here I have represented a molecular ion, okay. So it has a odd electron and it has a charge, okay. So this is referred as a parent ion or the molecular ion, and now what we are doing, we are dissociating this, or we are fragmenting this to form a fragment ions, okay. So these fragment ions can be a cation and radical, or it can be a cation and small molecule, okay. So we will see how this can be formed. So for example, you can see the molecular ion or the parent ion, it has been broken down into a cation and a radical. So we know the molecular ion which was formed, it was carrying a positive charge and it was carrying a radical. Okay, it was carrying a odd electron. So you can see this M has been broken down, the parent ion has been broken down, it has dissociated into two small fragments. Okay, one I am referring for my understanding as M1, and it is now carrying a positive charge, and other one is having a dot, that is the radical. So what it has formed? It has formed a cation and it has formed a radical. So this is one possibility. Other possibility is that the molecular ion or parent ion will break down, and this time it will form again two fragments, M1 and M2, but in this case the radical and positive charge is carried by one of the molecule, in this case it is M1. So what it is forming? It is forming a cation, and other molecule does not have the charge, even it does not have a electron. So this is simply a small molecule. Okay, so this is a possibility. Okay, so what is happening here? The molecular ion is getting dissociated into cation and radical, or it can form this particular cation and small molecule, and these we refer it as a fragment ions or the daughter ions. Okay, so this is usual. Several fragmentation pathways are available for a molecule, as I mentioned, and mixture of these ions are produced in the form of mass spectra. So I told you, whatever ions which are forming in the mass spectra, they have their own m by z value based on their mass and what charge they have, right, and the intensity of peak is proportional to the percentage of each ion of different mass in the mixture. Okay, and based on that we have a intensity, peak intensity in the mass spectrum. So you can see here a different fragment ions are formed. They will have their charge, their small molecule, then radical cation and so on, and each one of them have a different mass, because the molecule is breaking down into different fragments, and these different fragments will definitely have different mass, and now they are allowed to pass through a magnet, through the tube which have a magnetic field. So they will be deflected and they are traveling based on their mass to charge ratio. The one which is lighter will reach faster and the one which is heavier will reach slower, and all these molecules based on their time of arrival at the detector will be recorded in the mass spectrum. Okay, and then we can see the mass spectrum. Now we will see on this slide what is a mass spectrum. Okay, so mass spectrum is a plot of the relative abundance of ions. What is meaning of relative abundance? Relative abundance is nothing but the occurrence of that particular ion in the mass spectrum. Okay, the percentage of those particular ions, and that we refer it as a relative abundance of the ions. So that usually we take it on the y-axis, and on the x-axis we take the mass to charge ratio, that is referred as m by z, or it is m by e. Okay, so this is the mass spectrum. I told you on y-axis we have to take a relative abundance of the ions as a percentage of the base peak. Okay, and on the x-axis we have to take the mass to charge ratio, that is m by z or m by e. Okay, so this is how the mass spectrum can occur. Now you should always remember, whenever you take a mass spectrum, okay, the rightmost peak, the peak which is appearing first from the right side is always the molecular ion peak, or I have told you molecular ion peak is also called as the parent ion peak. This always occurs at the rightmost side. Okay, and whatever m by z value it has on the x-axis, that will be the molecular mass or molecular weight of the compound. Okay, so it is very easy. So once you see the mass spectrum, and if the molecular ion peak has been formed in that particular spectrum, so you can easily make out what is the molecular mass of that particular sample which you have analyzed. Okay, so that is about the molecular ion peak. Then you have to find out the next peak, that we refer it as a base peak. The most intense peak, the tallest peak we have to find out. Okay, it can appear anywhere in the spectrum. Okay, it is not like that molecular ion peak. Molecular ion peak always come on the rightmost side, but the base peak can appear anywhere in the mass spectrum. Okay, but how to characterize that? You have to see the tallest peak. The tallest peak is always the base peak. It is referred as the most intense peak in the mass spectrum. Okay, and the molecular ion peak is the rightmost peak, or you can also refer, this is the peak with highest m by z value. This is the peak with highest m by z value, okay, and the base peak is the peak with highest intensity. Okay, you should not get confused in this. This is the peak with highest intensity and this is the peak with highest m by z value, and all other peaks, they are referred as the fragment ion peaks. So, you can see this peak, there are several peaks, they are derived from the molecular ion peak, even including the base peak, they all are referred as the fragment ion peaks. But the base peak is very peculiar because it is most intense, okay, and the intensity of the base peak is considered as the 100%. Okay, so, whatever the height of this base peak, we calibrate this on y axis as 100%, and with respect to this peak height, all other peaks are plotted. Okay. So, here you can see the first peak. So, it may be somewhere around 80% like that, then this may be somewhere around 60% like that. So, based on the intensity of the base peak, whatever the intensity, we refer it as 100%, and with respect to that all other peaks will be synchronized. Okay. All right. Now, we will move ahead, we will see what type of ions or peaks we get in mass spectrum. So, as I already told you, in the examination you might be asked with the definitions of these, okay, or the spectrum is given and you are supposed to identify which peak corresponds to what. Okay. So, the base peak I mentioned, it is the most abundant peak. Okay. So, it is the most intense peak, it is the tallest peak, and this have a peak intensity very high, and this is considered as a 100% intense peak. Okay. Then molecular ion peak, which is also referred as the parent ion peak. So, this is the last peak with considerable intensity, which usually appear on the rightmost side, and this is known as molecular ion peak, or the peak which is giving the information about the molecular weight or molecular mass of the substance. And I told you this is the peak with highest m by z value. Okay. Highest m by z value. Okay. Then we have a fragment ion peaks, and these peaks are usually derived from the molecular ion peaks, and they give the information about the recognizable various recognizable groups present in the molecule. Then sometimes we also get a formation of metastable ion peak. Okay. Metastable ion peak, this is not parent ion peak, by mistake it is printed here. So, metastable ion peak is what? It is an ion which is formed with sufficient excitation to dissociate spontaneously during its flight from ion source to the detector. Okay. So, what happens here? It has gained some more energy, and because of that it will be relatively unstable. Okay. It is relatively unstable, and because of that what happens? It is not able to reach towards the detector. Okay. So, these kinds of peaks are formed, they are relatively more energetic, and because of that they are not stable. Because they are not stable, they are not able to reach towards the detector, and if they are not able to reach towards the detector, it will not come in the mass spectrum. Okay. So, metastable ion peaks are usually not detected in the mass spectrum, though they are formed, but they are not able to reach, or they are not able to take the flight and reach to the detector. Okay. Then we have an isotope peak or isotopic peaks. Okay. So, I told you the example of bromine, okay, it is 79 and bromine 81. So, it gives a very characteristic peak, and you can easily identify such type of isotopic peaks on the mass spectrum. Even for the chlorine 35 and 37, you can easily recognize the presence or absence of bromine in a particular compound. Okay. So, molecular ion peak, a radical cation which is formed by removal of single electron from the parent ion in a mass spectrometer, and that will give a molecular weight. Now, for our purpose, it does not matter which electron is lost from the molecule, and the radical cation character is delocalized throughout the molecule, and therefore, we write the molecular formula of the parent molecule usually in the bracket. So, we write a molecular formula then we put a bracket, and on the bracket, usually on the superscript, we mention as a positive charge and the radical. So that will show it is a radical cation, and that is the formation of the molecular ion. So usually we refer or represent the molecular ion in such a way. Okay. So this is about the molecular ion. Now we will have an representative mass spectra, so that you will get a better understanding of the mass spectra. Okay. So here I have taken an mass spectra of 2,4-dimethyl pentane. Okay. So you can see a 2,4-dimethyl pentane has a molecular formula of C7H16, and the molecular weight is around 100, and to be more precise, you can see up to the 5th decimal point you are getting accurate mass. So it is 100.12520. Now you can read the mass spectra. I told you first what you need to observe, you need to observe the base peak. How to recognize the base peak? The tallest peak. Which is the tallest peak here? This is the tallest peak, right? So this peak, you can see on the y axis we have a relative abundance, and that is considered as 100%. Now if this is 100%, so what is the height of the other peaks, and relative to this height of the base peak, all other peaks are plotted. So you can see it is somewhere around 60 plus, like that. Okay. And the rightmost peak, the peak which is appearing at the rightmost side, that is representing what? It is representing the molecular ion peak. Okay. So molecular ion peak is representing the molecular weight or molecular mass of the compound. So you can see it is 100, and this is giving a exact molecular mass of this particular compound. Then other peaks like appearing at 43, 57, 85, on x axis we have its m by z value. Okay. And these are nothing but the fragment peaks or the daughter ion peaks. Then I have shown one more spectra here of dopamine, which is a very important drug. So you can see the rightmost side peak appearing here at 153 m by z value. So that will be definitely the molecular weight or molecular mass of this particular structure. And the most tallest or the intense peak, okay, this is appearing at 124. That means this molecule has been broken down somewhere, right, based on its fragmentation pathway, and that part which has been broken down is contributing the molecular mass of 124. So 153 minus 124, that will be the second fragment of this particular dopamine molecule. So this base peak is considered as of 100% intensity, and with respect to that these peaks are plotted. You can see these peaks are nothing but the fragment ion peaks, which the molecule is further fragmented, and based on studying these fragments and its fragmentation pattern, you can arrive at the structure of this particular molecule. Okay. So this is how you can read the mass spectra, the basic theory of mass spectrometer, right, and the types of ions which are getting formed in the mass spectrometer. Okay. So hope you have understood the theory and the types of ions in the mass spectrometry. If you have any doubt, please comment in the comment box. Thank you for watching this video.